Episode 1. Why the rich keep getting richer and you're not even playing the same game. Inspired by what rich people know and desperately want to keep secret by Brian Sher. Before the world wakes up, before the noise, the headlines, the rush of alarms, there's a silence that only a few can hear. A silence that whispers the real rules of the world. The rich, they hear it, they move by it, and most of all, they never tell you what they're actually doing. Every day, millions wake up to the same cycle. Work, consume, repeat. Hustling for a raise, budgeting for survival, sacrificing time to save money. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You've been trained to play a game you can never win. Not because you're not smart, not because you're not worthy, but because the game was never designed for your freedom. Most people don't even realize they're in a game. They think success comes from effort, that hard work is noble, that loyalty will be rewarded, that retirement is a finish line. But the wealthy, they play an entirely different game, one built on leverage, ownership, influence, optionality. And here's the worst part. They desperately hope you'll never figure it out. From a young age, we're handed a script. Get good grades, get a safe job, buy a house, pay your taxes, avoid risk, stay in line. But the children of the rich, they're taught to ask different questions. What assets can I build? How can I make money while I sleep? Who do I need to know? Not just what do I need to do. Same planet, different operating systems. In Brian Sher's What Rich People Know, he shares the brutal difference. The rich don't chase money. They design environments where money chases them. Let that land. They're not running harder. They're standing still while the world brings them value. And most of us, we're running on a treadmill that doesn't lead anywhere. Think of wealth like water. Most people are digging wells, one paycheck, one opportunity, one emergency away from collapse. But the wealthy, they're building pipelines, cash flow, investments, systems, teams, ideas. It flows whether they show up or not. If you've ever felt stuck, like no matter how much you save, how hard you work, freedom always feels far. It's not your fault. Most people spend their whole lives trying to earn enough to finally feel safe. The rich, they spend their energy learning how to never need to earn again. Because once you understand how money works, you don't need to chase it. You simply design life in a way that attracts it. This is just the beginning. You've sensed it for years, that something about the system feels rigged. Now you know why. Imagine two people trying to cross a massive city. One is given no map, just told to keep walking. Figure it out, they say. The other, surprised given GPS coordinates, traffic reports, and shortcuts. Who gets there faster? Who gets there at all? The truth is brutal. Most people are trapped in a maze, working hard but hitting dead ends. The rich, they operate with a map, built on information, networks, and insight. And here's the part they never say out loud. The map isn't just about money. It's about how they see the world differently. Regular people are taught to trade hours for income. Work more equals earn more. But the wealthy, they trade systems for money. They build engines, businesses, investments, assets that earn while they sleep. They multiply effort, not duplicate it. Brian Sher calls it out. If you're selling your time, your income has a ceiling. The rich remove the ceiling entirely. The system is rigged, not by corruption, but by strategy. You went to school, learned math, maybe a bit of history, but did anyone teach you how to create passive income? How to invest in businesses, not just work for them? How to leverage debt instead of being crushed by it? No, and that's not accidental. There's a second education, taught in private conversations, boardrooms, legacy dinners. It's not in textbooks. It's not on the school curriculum, but it's where the real game is played. Here's a lie that keeps people stuck. You're just not lucky. Some people are born rich. But Brian Sher flips the script. Wealth is a skill. It can be learned, practiced, and mastered, just like music or sport. That means you're not late. You're not locked out. You're just untrained. And the best part, once you start learning, no one can unteach it. The rich don't work harder. They work with leverage. Leverage of money, leverage of time, leverage of people, leverage of technology. That's why one idea, executed well, can generate more wealth than decades of hard labor. The difference isn't just action, it's the amplifier behind the action. Want to earn more? Don't just do more, leverage more. In crisis, most people panic, but the wealthy, they look deeper. Recessions, opportunities to buy, market crashes, moments to acquire assets at discounts, problems, clues pointing toward profitable solutions. Brian Sher puts it sharply, the rich don't react emotionally, they respond strategically. This isn't about greed, it's about vision, seeing what others can't, acting when others freeze. Want to know your future? Look at your 5 closest friends. Are they building or just surviving? Are they talking ideas or gossip? Wealthy people curate their environment fiercely. They guard their minds like vaults. They don't let negativity, fear, or average thinking live rent-free. It's not about snobbery, it's about frequency. You can't rise in a room that anchors you down. Most people don't realize they're living in survival mode. Even when they have a roof over their heads, a phone in their hands, and a dream in their heart. They've confused safety with smallness. They wake up each day and get on the treadmill of just enough salary to cover the bills, enough energy to get through the day, enough joy to not feel completely numb. But this enough is quietly stealing everything, their creativity, their courage, their capacity to truly live. What happened to the part of you that once believed in magic, that wanted to build something bold, that didn't ask permission to dream? That child is still inside you, waiting, watching, whispering, please, don't forget me. The rich, the truly wealthy, they made a choice, not just to make more money, but to live from a deeper question. What was I born to create? They knew the most dangerous risk was a life unlived. See, at some point, they all hit that moment, the line in the sand, the spiritual wake-up call, when you realize the system isn't built to set you free. It's built to keep you small, safe, silent, and only those who dare to step off the script can write a new one. This new script begins with self-leadership, ownership, vision. It's not found in textbooks. It's found in the fire of trying, failing, and still choosing to rise. This is where wealth truly begins, with a decision that says, I will no longer live asleep. Most people chase money, but the rich, they chase meaning. And that meaning? It opens every lock money never could. It builds not just bank accounts, but legacies, not just portfolios, but possibilities. Here's the secret. You don't need to be rich to start thinking like the rich. You need to be awake enough to ask, what am I really here for? Who am I serving with my gifts? Where am I still hiding from myself? Because when you ask those questions, life answers back. Not with comfort, but with clarity. This is your moment to break the inner contract with survival and choose significance. Wealth is not what you chase, it's what you build from within. And no, it's not easy, but it's real, it's yours, and it's waiting. Every generation passes down more than genes. They pass down beliefs, scripts, fears disguised as love. You've inherited stories like, play it safe, don't aim too high, we're not that kind of people. But just because it was handed to you doesn't mean you have to carry it forward. You know this moment, that 3 a.m. whisper. When the world is silent, but your soul is screaming, there has to be more than this. That moment is the doorway, not to fantasy, but to freedom. Here's the uncomfortable truth. No one is coming to rescue you. Not the economy, not a boss, not some perfect opportunity. The map doesn't exist until you draw it, step by courageous step. The rich didn't start with power. They started with a decision to stop following paths that lead nowhere, to stop asking for permission, to stop waiting for the world to choose them. Instead, they chose themselves. And that choice changed everything. You don't need more degrees, or more hours, or more approval. What you need is to believe in a version of yourself your past has never met. The version that doesn't repeat, but rewrites. Doesn't react, but reclaims. Doesn't shrink, but soars. Here's what rich people desperately want to keep secret. True wealth doesn't begin with money. It begins with identity, with value, with choosing to belong to yourself first before you belong to any system. Because when you fully own who you are and what you bring into this world, the marketplace becomes your playground. You don't chase money, you attract it. You don't beg for opportunity, you create it. You don't compete, you become a category of one. So, you can stay in the pattern, safe, predictable, acceptable, or you can break it and become unforgettable. Wealth is not a number, it's a way of being. And the most valuable thing you'll ever own is the story you chose to live.